नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठभूतने श्रीमते स्वामी जय श्री कृष्ण। मंदिर जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम no
Yeah. Okay, I'm okay.
did you get the message?
What message?
Is he being the host?
Yeah. He is joining.
Oh.
So once I make him host, he can continue. He can transfer host to some that mother. They can continue the call. So during the driving, we cannot focus. That's the reason. So Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Prabhuji, are you on laptop?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, can I make you host?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. Yeah, do you want to change the host to Raju? Yes.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So now you are a host, Prabhu. So
Yeah.
you can continue, Prabhuji. I am dropping off, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, na Prabhuji?
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
మీరైతే ల్యాప్టాప్ మీద ఉన్నారు కదా?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
థ్యాంక్ యూ మీరు ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేయాలంటే ఓకే
Yeah. Sure, Prabhuji.
థ్యాంక్ యూ మచ్ యూ కెన్ కంటిన్యూ డ్రైవింగ్ చేస్తున్నాను అందుకని ఓకే
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
దమ్ము తేవడానికి ఎంతసేపు పట్టుద్ది చెప్పు?
And think properly only. Diary.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Deepa Mataji, can you make you host Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
It's because I need to drop my kids, Mataji.
No problem.
Okay.
I Manglacharan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम रामा हरे हरे. We'll start reading Srimad Bhagavatam 1.17.26. Translation. The burden of the earth was certainly diminished by the personality of Godhead and by others as well. When he was present as an incarnation, all good was performed because of his auspicious footprints. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now she, the chaste one, being unfortunately forsaken by the personality of Godhead, laments her future with tears in her eyes, for now she is being ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers. Purport. The Kshatriya, or the man who is qualified to protect the sufferers, is meant to rule the state. Untrained lower class men or men without ambition to protect the sufferers cannot be placed on the seat of an administrator. Unfortunately, in the age of Kali, the lower class men without training occupy the post of a ruler by strength of popular votes. Instead of protecting the sufferers, such men create a situation quite intolerable for everyone. Such rulers illegally gratify themselves at the cost of all comforts of the citizens, and thus the chaste mother, Earth, cries to see the pitiable condition of her sons, both men and animals. That is the future of the world in the age of Kali, when irreligiosity prevails most prominently, and in the absence of suitable king to curb irreligious tendencies. Educating the people systematically in the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam will clear up the hazy atmosphere of corruption, bribery, blackmail, etc. Hare Krishna. Samyukta Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Maharaj Parikshit, who could fight 1,000 enemies single-handedly, thus pacified the personality of religion and the earth. Then he took up his sharp sword to kill the personality of Kali, who is the cause of all irreligion. Purport. As described above, the personality of Kali is who deliberately commits all kinds of sinful acts which are forbidden in the revealed scriptures. This age of Kali will certainly be full of all activities of Kali. But this does not mean that the leaders of society, the executive heads, the learned and intelligent men, or above all, the devotees of the Lord should sit down tightly and become callous to the reactions of the age of Kali. In the rainy season, certainly there will be profuse rainfalls, but that does not mean that men should not take means to protect themselves from the rains. It is the duty of the executive heads of state and others to take all necessary actions against the activities of Kali or the persons influenced by the age of Kali. And Maharaj Parikshit is the ideal executive head of the state, for at once he was ready to kill the personality of Kali with his sharp sword. The administrator should not simply pass resolutions for anti-corruptional steps, but they must be ready with sharp swords to kill the person creating corruptions from the angle of vision of the recognized Shastras. The administrators cannot prevent corrupt activities by allowing wine shops. They must at once close all shops of intoxicating drugs and wine and force punishment even by death for those who indulge in habits of intoxication of all description. That is the way of stopping the activities of Kali as exhibited herein by Maharaj Parikshit, the Maharada. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Lavanya Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavatana. Mataji. Oh, yeah. Yeah, translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. When the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the dress of king and under the pressure of fear completely surrendered to him, bowing his head. Purport. The royal dress of the personality of Kali is artificial. The royal dress is suitable for a king or kshatriya But when a lower class man artificially dresses himself as a king, his real identity is disclosed by the challenge of a bona fide Kshatriya like Maharaj Parikshit. A real Kshatriya never surrenders. He accepts the challenge of his rival Kshatriya and he fights either to die or to win. Surrender is unknown to a real Kshatriya. In the age of Kali, there are so many pretenders dressed and posed like administrators or executive heads, but their real identity is disclosed when they are challenged by a real Kshatriya. Therefore, when the artificially dressed personality of Kali saw that to fight Maharaj Parikshit was beyond his ability, he bowed down his head like a subordinate and gave up his royal dress. Thank you, Mataji.
సంధ్యా మాతాజీ చదవగలరా?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Maharaja Parikshit, who was qualified to accept surrender and worthy of being sung in history, did not kill the poor, surrendered and fallen Kali, but smiled compassionately, for he was kind to the poor. Purport. Even an ordinary Kshatriya does not kill a surrendered person, and what to speak of Maharaj Parikshit, who was by nature compassionate and kind to the poor. He was smiling because the artificially dressed Kali had disclosed his identity as a lower class man, and he was thinking how ironic it was that although no one was saved from his sharp sword when he desired to kill, the poor lower class Kali was spared by his timely surrender. Maharaja Parikshit's glory and kindness are therefore sung in history. He was a kind and compassionate emperor, fully worthy of accepting surrender even from his enemy. Thus, the personality of Kali was saved by the will of providence. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Sapan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. The king thus said, "We have inherited the fame of Arjuna. Therefore, since you have surrendered yourself with folded hands, you need not fear for your life. You cannot remain in my kingdom, for you are the friend of irreligion." Purport. The personality of Kali, who is friend of all kinds of irreligiosities, may be excused if he surrenders. But in all circumstances, he cannot be allowed to live as a citizen in any part of a welfare state. The Pandavas were entrusted representatives of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, who practically brought into being the battle of Kurukshetra, but not for any personal interest. He wanted an ideal king like Maharaj Yudhishthira and his descendants like Maharaj Parikshit to rule the world, and therefore a responsible king like Maharaja Parikshit could not allow the friend of irreligiosity to flourish in his kingdom at the cost of good fame of the Pandavas. That is the way of wiping out corruption in the state and not otherwise. The friends of irreligiosity should be banished from the state, and that will save the state from corruption. Hare Krishna.
Raju Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation. If the personality of Kali, irreligion, is allowed to act as a man, god, or an executive head, certainly irreligion's principles like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, and vanity will abound. Purport. The principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, as we have already discussed, may be followed by the follower of any faith. There is no need to turn from Hindu to Mohammedan to Christian or some other faith and thus become a renegade and not follow the principles of religion. The Bhagavat of religion are just following the principles of religion. The principles of religion are not the dogmas or regulative principles of certain faith. Such regulative principles may be different in terms of the time and place concerned. One has to see whether the aims of religion have been achieved. Sticking to the dogmas and formulas without attaining the real principles is not good. A secular state may be impartial to any particular type of faith, but the state cannot be indifferent to the principles of religion as above mentioned. But in the age of Kali, the executive heads of state will be indifferent to such religious principles, and therefore under their patronage, the opponents of religious principles, such as greed, falsehood, cheating, pilfery, will naturally follow. And so there will be no meaning to propaganda trying to stop corruption in the state. Hare Krishna.
What is pilfery, Mataji? Can you check this?
దొంగతనం మాతాజీ, theft.
Okay. Yes, Mataji.
లలిత్ మోహన్ ప్రభు చదవగలరా?
Yes, Mataji. The purport in the previous shloka, can you just open it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. So actually, there are some statements in this purport which are very, tough to understand. Like a secular state may be impartial to any particular type of faith, but the state cannot be indifferent to the principles of religion as above mentioned. But in the age of Kali, the executive heads of the state will be indifferent to such religious principles, and therefore, under their patronage, the opponents of religious principles such as greed, falsehood, cheating, and pilfery will naturally follow. So, why all these things are there generally in our modern society? You see, whenever this modern world, it is just a fight between two kinds of isms. That is democracy and communism, right? This is how they fight. And in democracy, they want what they want: a secular state. Generally, democracies, propagate the secular concept. Why? Do you know, anyone knows what the meaning of these sentences? Else they'll just go aerodynamically apart from our head, actually. See, why Prabhupada emphasizes here about the secular state and how it should be is, secular state should always be, following these 4 principles at least. What does secularity means? Secular means
Everything same.
And giving everybody the same status. Nobody.
Yeah. Giving importance to everyone. No one is big and no one is small. Generally,
in terms of religion,
in terms of religion. But the fundamental basic principle of any religion should be according to the land of law. So, law of the land. Now, this place being, Bharata Bhumi or Bharata Varsha, which we call, through its archaeological surveys and all, even scientifically, who ruled, there are some histories, and it should be based on that, not the one imported from Royal Imperial Society or from the 1789's American Revolution. It should not be like that. This is what Prabhupada wanted to emphasize here. It should be based on these 4 principles of Dharma, Saucha, Tapa,
Satyam.
Satya. So this is what actually Prabhupada wanted to say. If you don't implement those 4 pillars inside the society and make or frame the rules of constitution, till that time, no matter how secular you might become or how secular you might try to make the society, only these people will follow. What are those things which will follow? Greed, falsehood, cheating, and pilfery. Okay, that's what he wanted to say about secularism, taking the advantage of this shloka. So whenever you see, whenever a chance comes, Prabhupada says all these things. Within these 2 or 3 sentences, he has put a lot of things in this actually. Okay, we'll go on to the next shloka. Thank you so much. Translation. Therefore, O friend of irreligion, you do not deserve to remain in a place where experts perform sacrifices according to truth and religious principles for the satisfaction of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yagneshwara, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the beneficiary of all kinds of sacrificial ceremonies. Such sacrificial ceremonies are prescribed differently in scriptures for different ages. In other words, sacrifice means to accept the supremacy of the Lord and thereby perform acts by which the Lord may be satisfied in all respects. The atheists do not believe in the existence of God and they do not perform any sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord. Any place or country where the supremacy of Lord is accepted and the sacrifice is performed is called Brahmavarta. There are different countries in different parts of the world, and each and every country may have different types of sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord. But the central point in pleasing Him is ascertained in Bhagavatam, and it is truthfulness. The basic principle of religion is truthfulness, and the ultimate goal of all religion is to satisfy the Lord. In this age of Kali, the greatest common formula of sacrifice is Sankirtan Yajna. That is the opinion of the experts who know how to propagate the process of Yajna. Lord Chaitanya preached this method of Yajna, and it is understood from this verse that the sacrificial method of Sankirtana Yajna may be performed anywhere and everywhere in order to drive away the personality of Kali and save human society from falling prey to the influence of the age. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Suman Prabhu, are you available to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hi.
Translation. In all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead is worshipped because He is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside like the air. Thus, it is He only who awards all welfare to the worshipper. Purport. It is even sometimes seen that demigods like Indra and Kandra are worshipped and offered sacrificial awards. Yet the rewards of all such sacrifices are awarded to the worshipper by the Supreme Lord. And it is the Lord only who can offer all welfare to the worshipper. The demigods, although worshipped, cannot do anything without the sanction of the Lord, because the Lord is a super soul of everyone, both moving on and non-moving. In Bhagavad Gita 9.23, the Lord Himself confirms this is the following sloka.
Chadakalra Prabhuji, or?
I can't read in this
Okay.
context, maybe Telugu or Hindi.
Yeah, I'll read it for you. Yepyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvita tepi mam eva kaunteya yajantya vidhi purvakam.
Thank you, Mataji. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. The fact is that the Supreme Lord is one without a second. There is no God other than the Lord Himself. Thus, the Supreme Lord is eternally transcendental to the material creation. But there are many who worship the demigods like the sun, the moon, and Indra, who are only material representatives of Supreme Lord. These demigods are indirect qualitative representations of Supreme Lord. A learned scholar or devotee, however, knows who is who. Therefore, he directly worships the Supreme Lord and is not diverted by the material qualitative representations. Those who are not so learned worship such qualitative material representations, but their worship is unceremonious because it is irregular. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Gaurav Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gaurav.
Yeah. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Shuta Goswami said, the personality of Kali, thus being ordered by Maharaja Parikshit, began to tremble in fear. Seeing the king before him like Yamraj, ready to kill him, Kali spoke to the king as follows.
It's
The
Kali.
king was ready.
Kali.
Sorry?
Kali.
Kali. Yeah, sorry, Kali. The king was ready to kill the personality of Kali at once, as soon as he disobeyed his order. Otherwise, the king had no objections to allowing him to prolong his life. The personality of Kali also, after attempting to get rid of the punishment in various ways, decided that he must surrender unto him. And thus he began to tremble in fear for his life. The king or the executive head must be so strong as to stand before the personality of Kali like the personality of death, Yamraj. The king's order must be obeyed, otherwise the culprit's life is in risk. That is the way to rule the personality of Kali, who creates disturbance in the normal life of the state citizens. Hare Krishna Mata.
Thank you. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O your majesty, though I may live anywhere and everywhere under your order, I shall but see you with bow and arrows wherever I look. Purport. The personality of Kali could see that Maharaja Parikshit was the emperor of all lands all over the world. Thus, anywhere he might live, he would have to meet with the same mood of the king. The personality of Kali was meant for mischief, and Maharaja Parikshit was meant for subduing all kinds of mischief mongers, especially the personality of Kali. It was better, therefore, for the personality of Kali to have been killed by the king then and there instead of being killed elsewhere. He was, after all, a surrendered soul before the king, and it was for the king to do what was required. Samita Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Translation. Therefore, O chief amongst the protectors of religion, please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government. Purport. The personality of Kali addressed Maharaj Parikshit as the chief amongst the protectors of religiosity because the king refrained from killing a person who surrendered unto him. A surrendered soul should be given all protection, even though he may be an enemy. That is the principle of religion. And we can just imagine what sort of protection is given by the personality of Godhead to the person who surrenders unto him, not as an enemy, but as a devoted servitor. The Lord protects the surrendered soul from all sins and resultant reactions of sinful acts. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Sandhya Mataji? 1 second. Okay, this can be done by multiple of us. Sandhya Mataji? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, this one is very important. Please listen carefully. Purport will be very, very important in this.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Suta Goswami said, Maharaja Parikshit, thus being petitioned by the personality of Kali, gave him permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter were performed. Purport. The basic principles of irreligiosity, such as pride, prostitution, intoxication, and falsehood, counteract the four principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. The personality of Kali was given permission to live in four places particularly mentioned by the king, namely the place of gambling, the place of prostitution, the place of drinking, and the place of animal slaughter. Srila Jiva Goswami directs that drinking against the principles of scriptures such as Sautramani Yajna, association with women outside marriage, and killing animals against the injunctions of scriptures are irreligious. In the Vedas, two different types of injunctions are there for the pravrittas, or those who are engaged in material enjoyment, and for the nivrittas, are those who are liberated from material bondage. The Vedic injunction for the pravrittas is to gradually regulate their activities towards the path of liberation. Therefore, for those who are in the lowest stage of ignorance and who indulge in wine, women, and flesh, drinking by performing Sautramani Yagna, association of women by marriage, and flesh eating by sacrifices are sometimes recommended. Such recommendations in the Vedic literature are meant for a particular class of men and not for all, but because they are injections of the Vedas for particular types of persons, such activities by the Pravrittas are not considered adharma. One man's food may be poison for others. Similarly, what is recommended for those in the mode of ignorance may be poison for those in the mode of goodness. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu, therefore, affirms that recommendations in the scriptures for a certain class of men are never to be considered adharma or religious or irreligious. But such activities are factually adharma and they are never to be encouraged. The recommendations in the scriptures are not meant for the encouragement of such adharma, but for regulating the necessary adharma gradually toward the path of dharma.
Thank you, Mataji. Lavanya Mataji?
Yes, ma'am. Following the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit, it is the duty of all executive heads of state to see the principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, are established in the state, and that the principles of religion, namely pride, illicit female association or prostitution, intoxication, and falsity, are checked by all means. And to make the best use of bad bargain, the personality of Kali may be transferred to the place of gambling, drinking, prostitution, and slaughterhouses. If there are any place like that, those who are addicted to these irreligious habits may be regulated with injections of the scripture. In no circumstances should they be encouraged by any state. In other words, the state should categorically stop all sorts of gambling, drinking, prostitution, and falsity. The state which wants to eradicate corruption by majority may be introduced to the principles of religion in the following manner. Can I continue, Mataji? Or?
You can read until the first point, Mataji. Ikkadi varaku chadavandi.
In the following manner, first one, two compulsory fastings day in a month, if not more, austerity. Even from the economic point of view, such 2 fasting days in a month in the state will save tons of food, and the system will act very favorably on the general health of the citizens.
Laltman Prabhu, me chautara next 3.
Yeah, yes, Mataji. Mataji, after completion of this, I just wanted to emphasize the 3 or 4 points in this, which is very important. I will do it after that. Let this be completed. I'll just only read 2. The 3 and 4 will be done by some others.
Okay.
Yeah. Second, there must be compulsory marriage of young boys and girls attaining 24 years of age and 16 years of age, respectively. There is no harm in co-education in the schools and colleges, provided the boys and girls are duly married. And in case there is any intimate connection between a male and female student, they should be married properly without illicit relation. The Divorce Act is encouraging prostitution, and this should be abolished. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Raju Prabhu? Krishna?
The 3.
Yes.
That citizens of state must give in charity up to 50% of their income for the purpose of creating a spiritual atmosphere in the state or human society, both individually and collectively. They should preach the principles of Bhagavatam by Karma Yoga or doing everything for satisfaction of the Lord. B. Regularly hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam from authorized persons or realized soul. C. Chanting of the glories of the Lord congregationally at home or at place of worship. D. Rendering all kinds of service to the Bhagavatas, engaging in the preaching Srimad Bhagavatam. And E. Residing in a place where atmosphere is situated with the God consciousness. If the state is regulated by the above process, naturally there will be God consciousness everywhere. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sapan Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Gambling of all description, even speculative business enterprise, is considered to be degrading. And when gambling is encouraged in the state, there is complete disappearance of truthfulness. Allowing young boys and girls to remain unmarried more than the above mentioned ages and licensing animal slaughterhouses of all description should be at once prohibited. The flesh eaters may be allowed to take flesh as mentioned in the scriptures and not otherwise. Intoxication of all description, even smoking cigarettes, chewing tobacco, or drinking of tea must be prohibited. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Lalpan Prabhu.
Yes, actually, the points 1, 2, and 3. These are the things which Prabhupada even written to Indira Gandhi also. That if you implement these things, and Mahatma Gandhi, that if you implement these things, then only the society will be happy. Okay. And before that, actually, if you see, they are all well researched. Actually, it's not just out of their what is the fanaticism that Prabhupada has written here. Can you just scroll up even, Mataji? Yeah, there is one yajna and a Saumitri.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sautramani yajna. You know this?
Yeah.
So this is the ritual which is performed before drinking alcohol, right? See, Vedic life will not allow you or stop you or make you fanatic not to do this simply. If you are completely into that, then it allows you, yeah, take it, but do this sacrifice so that the vikarma will not be on you. Okay, and you will gradually progress towards the akarma. So this is what all the Vedic life is like. See, for drinking, you do this. And for sacrifice, what is it? Sacrifice of the animal sacrifice, you do a sacrifice, right? You do a year before Kali, right? And you know what you say, of course, the polygamy is not allowed here. But previous days, they used to take their responsibility also. But nowadays, it is not completely out of marriage relations are more, right? And the divorce rate is still more actually. Why this is happening? Because the society is not based on these 4 principles. Because society is not at all based on these 4 principles. Tapa is not at all there in the society. That is the reason why all these things are happening. Okay, and that is why Prabhupada wanted to recommend these principles to Indira Gandhi or the state executive heads, whoever were at the time. Of course, they're all kept the deaf ear. That's the other thing. And if they are implemented by force, the revolution will come also. So, Prabhupada has a systematic way of how to do. He has a complete plan how to implement all these things in the society in a phased and very good manner. So he wanted to keep it in the purpose at least that one day some of his followers might go into the executive heads and do whatever is needed. See, this is not for the country India; it's for the whole world actually. That's what he being an Acharya, he emphasized. Okay, and see, 2 compulsory fasting days a month. And if you see these things, there is something known as the Statistics Institute of India, Indian Statistics Institute, ISI. They say that, of course, India is grain sufficient surplus now, not sufficient. It is grain surplus country now. But if you see in the 1960s to 1979, so India was grain deficient. So when Prabhupada was there, so Prabhupada used to tell the people, yeah, anyhow you should fast. At least everyone, let them fast for 2 days. So at least whatever is remaining for those 2 days in the rich man's house can be distributed to the poor man. So that many things he said actually. One thing is this one, let us do fast. And with that, what happens? The medical bills will also decrease. So everything is religious. Everything is religious. That's how we lead our life. This is what Prabhupada wanted to implement in the national or state executive bodies. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji.
Who will read next? Gaurav Prabhu.
Mataji, I did not get first time also.
I know Prabhuji, but you joined late. So you have to wait for everybody's turn. Gaurav Prabhu, are you available to read? Okay. Suman Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, I'm available to read.
Yes, please read. Prabhuji.
Yeah. Translation and purport from Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The personality of Kali asked for something more, and because of the begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is a gold. Because wherever there is a gold, there is also a falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. Although Maharaja Parikshit gave Kali permissions to live in 4 places, it was very difficult for him to find the places because during the reign of Maharaja Parikshit, there was no such places. Therefore, Kali asked the king to give him something practical which could be utilized for his nefarious purpose. Maharaja Parikshit thus gave him permission to live in a place where there is a gold. Because wherever there is a gold, there's all above mentioned 4 things, and over and above there is an enmity also. So the personality of Kali became gold standardized. According to Srimad Bhagavat, gold encourages falsity, intoxication, prostitution, envy, and enmity. Even a gold standard exchange and currency is bad. Gold standard currency is based on falsehood because the currency is not on a par with the reserve gold. The basic principle is falsity because currency notes are issued in value beyond that of the actual reserve gold. This artificial inflation of currency by the authorities encourages prostitution of the state economy. The price of commodities becomes artificially inflated because of bad money or artificial currency notes. Bad money drives away good money. Instead of paper currency, actual gold coins should be used for exchange, and this will stop prostitution of gold. Gold ornaments for women may be allowed by control, not by quality, but by quantity. This will discourage lust, enmity, envy, and enmity. Where there is an actual gold currency in the form of coins, and the influence of gold is produced. Where I was. Discourage. When there is an actual gold currency in the form of coins, the influence of gold in producing falsity, prostitution, etc., will be automatically cease. There will be no need of an anti-corruption ministry for another terms of prostitution and falsity of purpose. Sorry, I'm just reading from my mobile phone. It's becoming a little difficult.
No problem. Suman Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. Translation. Thus, the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaja Parikshit, the son of Uttara, was allowed to live in those 5 places. Purport. Thus, the age of Kali began with gold standardization and therefore falsity, intoxication, animal slaughter, and prostitution are rampant all over the world. And the Sena section is eager to drive out corruption. The counteracting process is suggested above, and everyone can take advantage of this suggestion. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Akinchan Prabhu, are you available to read?
Yes, ma'am. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, whoever desires progressive well-being, especially kings, regionalists, public leaders, brahmanas, and sannyasis, should never come in contact with the 4 above mentioned irreligious principles. Purport. The brahmanas are religious preceptors for all the castes, and the sannyasis are the spiritual masters for all the castes and orders of the society. So also are the king and the public leaders who are responsible for the material welfare of all the people. The progressive religionists and those who are responsible human beings are those who do not want to spoil their valuable human lives should refrain from all the principles of irreligiosity, especially illicit connection with women. If a Brahmana is not truthful, all his claims as a Brahmana at once becomes null and void. If a sannyasi is illicitly connected with women, all his claims as a sannyasi at once becomes false. Similarly, if a king and the public leader are unnecessarily proud or habituated, sorry, but I'm seeing some other screen. Yeah, habituated to drinking and smoking, certainly they become disqualified to discharge the public welfare activity. Truthfulness is the basic principle for all religions. The four leaders of human society, namely the sannyasis, the brahmanas, the king, and the public leader, must be tested crucially by their character and qualification before one can be accepted as a spiritual or material master of the society. He must be tested by the above mentioned criteria of character. Such public leaders may be less qualified in academic qualifications, but it is necessary primarily that they are free from contamination from four disqualifications, namely gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother.
Chandamali Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, the king re-established the lost legs of the personality of religion, the bull, and by encouraging activities, he sufficiently improved the condition of the earth. Purport. By designating particular places for the personality of Kali, Maharaj Parishit practically cheated Kali. In the presence of Kali Dharma in the shape of a bull and the earth in the shape of a cow, he could actually estimate the great general condition of his kingdom, and therefore he at once took proper steps to re-establish the legs of the bull, namely austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. And for the general benefit of the people of the world, he saw that the gold stock might be employed for stabilization. Gold is real, certainly a generator of falsity, intoxication, prostitution, enmity and violence. But under the guidance of a proper king of public leader or Brahmana or sannyasi, the same gold can be properly utilized to establish the lost legs of the bull, the personality of religion. Maharaja Parishit, therefore, like the grandfather of Arjuna, collected all illicit gold kept for the propensities of Kali and employed in the Sankirtana Yajna as per the instruction of the Srimad Bhagavatam. As we have suggested before, once accumulated wealth may be divided into three parts for distribution, namely 50% for the service of the Lord, 25% for the family members, and 25% for personal necessities. Spending 50% for the service of the Lord or for propagation of spiritual knowledge in society by way of the Sankirtana Yajna is the maximum display of human mercy. People of the world are generally in darkness regarding spiritual knowledge, especially in regard to the devotional service of the Lord, and therefore to propagate the systematic transcendental knowledge of devotional service is the greatest mercy that one can show in this world. When everyone is taught to sacrifice 50% of his accumulated gold for the Lord's service, certainly austerity, cleanliness, and mercy automatically ensure, and thus the last three legs of the personality of a religion are automatically established. When there is sufficient austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, naturally Mother Earth is completely satisfied, and there is very little chance of Kali to infiltrate the structure of human society. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji and Mataji's, now after reading this, now, where are the four places which Kali will be there?
Intoxication, gambling,
intoxication, prostitution, and violence.
Enmity.
Slaughter. That is gold. Yeah, its main is gold. So because
Gold.
everything is gold related to gold.
So that is the fifth one. The four other things. Gold is the fifth one. There are four other
Animal
things.
slaughter, animal slaughter.
Slaughterhouses, okay.
Gambling, prostitution.
Prostitution.
Yeah,
Prostitution and drinking.
right?
Drinking.
Intoxication.
These are the 4 things which Kali will be there. Okay. When initially Maharaj Parikshit gave him these 4 places, Kali could not find them anywhere. So he came and asked for one more, this one. Then what did Parikshit give? Okay, you can stay with the gold also. So what happened then? See, he couldn't stay out of these 4 places because they were not existent only on the planet Earth at that point of time. So where did Kali enter? Kali entered into the gold. Okay. In which gold? He entered into the gold which is not earned properly.
Illicit.
Yeah. So he entered onto the crown of Jarasandha, which is kept inside the treasury of Maharaj Parikshit. Then what happened? Maharaj Parikshit, when he was examining his treasury, he found this, mukut or what you say, the crown, very fascinating. So what did he do? He has a icha that let me keep it on my head. So he throned that crown. Okay. The moment he crowned it with the throne. What happened?
Kali entered.
Kali entered on his head. He was sitting just right up of him. And what happened? This Shamikrishi and Shringi incident happened. He was all of a sudden he went for the hunting excursion, and then all this thing happened. That is how Kali started. See, this is all the Krishna's will and plan. Yes. Why it happened. We should accept it, and we should always remember, we as devotees, we should not earn that money illicitly or that gold illicitly, because Kali will enter like that into our own families. Should be very, very careful, very careful. Of course, we are somehow or other practicing these 4 regulative principles. 4 regs are already being practiced by us. The first one will be, we'll be tempted when we see a lot of illicit money, right? That is human behavior. Depending upon your comfort level which you are in, you will be tempted to such extent to the comforts which you are in. That is why the austerity is always being encouraged by Prabhupada in some other means, to the capacity which you can. It is not that he is always encouraging austerity. He always says, do austerity according to your capacity. Else what happens? This comfort level will go on and on. And then our desire to acquire the illicit money through gold or some other means will increase. Then Kali enters. Simple.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a cycle. We should be very, very cautious.
Prabhuji, but actually these days people are buying lands instead of buying the gold. So in that case also Kali will be there, right?
Prabhu, how you are earning money is more important, Prabhu, than what you are doing with that money.
Okay.
Yeah. So the earning, how you are earning it, by cheating someone or by really having your fees. See how much of the profit is allowed according to dharma. Do you know that, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji, even if you are earning by through dharma only, if you are buying,
dharma says 25%. 25% is the profit for banya. That is the maximum allowed profit, Prabhu. See, when we say kaya vyaparam, here in our own banya terms in our Godavari districts, or we say kaya means you will have 50% of the profit in that business. So generally, our families will be keep distant selves to that. Why? 25% is accepted, Prabhuji, according to dharma. If you are earning more than that, then be cautious. That money will do something in your family, no doubt in that. Okay.
That is this rule is when you are doing business, right? So if you are working for some organizations like that, then how do we calculate, Prabhuji?
Whatever you earned is according to the dharma only, Prabhuji.
So if you are employed in some company, so whatever you are earning, that is through dharma only, right?
Yes, but is your company involved in what? That is to be also taken care of. Means if your company is directly involved in the slaughterhousing company, slaughterhousing business, be careful with that. No? See, like, earlier I have given you one example, like Mafatlal Industries. It was into making the skin, leather industry. It was into leather industry earlier. Okay. Then after joining ISKCON, he completely left that only.
But these days, many people are employed in the IT industry, right, Prabhuji? In this case, how do we justify ourselves? Suppose if you are running 20 lakhs per year.
That is the reason, right? It is said, just give 25% of your income to the Lord and spend it wisely. This 25% should also be spent very wisely. It's not like that, you can give to it anyone and anywhere. First, you should follow one counselor, and then one guru, and systematically it should go. It's not just directly given 25%. I'm happy. No, it should not increase our ego that I am spending. I am, donating.
Okay.
It should bring change in our life. That is how we should donate.
Self-realization should be done.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm boring today, but this is very, very important.
Very interesting.
How to earn money and how you spend it. All these things are very important. That should be according to Dharma. And this is how Kali entered actually. He was given one more place, and that is a place where he caught. Very caught even Parikshit also. What to say about us? So why we do the tapa and all? So that our unnecessary comforts should not increase. Because when they increase, what happens? You will have a desire to earn more. And then you'll desire to earn anyway, and which is against the Dharma. Okay, be very cautious. Everything is cyclic. It's not individual. It's not a one thing. So that is why it is emphasized by Prabhupada. Follow the regulated lifestyle. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Deepa Mataji, where were we yesterday?
I'm also wondering that, Prabhuji.
13th Mataji. Explain చేశారు 13th.
చెప్పాలి ప్రభుజీ.
అంటే చదివాము నిన్న మనం. ఇక్కడే మనం కంటిన్యూ చేయాలా లేదా నెక్స్ట్ దానికి వెళ్ళాలా? ఐఎమ్ కన్ఫ్యూజ్డ్.
Yeah, we will do here only, Mataji. Okay. Because I haven't done in our regular fashion. So we will do it. Tiryannagadvija sarishri padeva daitya.
Tiryannagadvija
Tiryannagadvija sarishri padeva daitya.
Nagadvija sarishri padeva daitya.
Tiryannagadvija sarishri padeva daitya. Please repeat this word 3 or 4 times with me. Sarishripa.
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 Sarishripa means those animals which crawl with their body. Sripa means Sarira means with their body. Shripa means they will move with their body. Okay? Means the snakes, the lizards, and all these things. The Commodores.
Pakriti.
So Sarisripa means the one which move with their body. Okay? Okay, now again once more. Tiryannagadvija sarisri padeva daitya. Martyadibhi parichitam sadasad-vishesham.
Martyadibhi parichitam
sadasad-vishesham. Martyadibhi parichitam sadasad-vishesham. Martyadibhi parichitam sadasad-vishesham. रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम्
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 रूपं स्थविस्तम् महदाद्यनेकम्.
Shall we go for 3 more times?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम्
रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम्.
रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम्
रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम्.
रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम्
रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम्.
नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः
नातः परं
नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः तीर्यन्न गद्विजसरीष्टपदेव दैत्य मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषम्
परिचितं सदसद्विशेषम्
तीर्यन्न गद्विजसरीष्टपदेव दैत्य मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषम् तीर्यन्न गद्विजसरीसृपदेव दैत्य मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषम्
असद्विशेषम्
अनेकम् नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः
रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते
रूपं स्थविस्तमजते महदाद्यनेकम् नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः
रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम् नातं परमवेद्मि न
यत्र वादः
रूपं स्थविस्तमजते महदाद्यनेकम् नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः
रूपं स्थविष्टम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम् नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः.
Shall we do 2 more times? This one?
Yes.
Okay. रूपं स्थविस्तमजते महदाद्यनेकम् नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः
रूपं स्थविस्तम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम् नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः.
रूपं स्थविस्तमजते महदाद्यनेकम् नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः
रूपं अजते महदाद्यनेकम् नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः.
Now I will do the whole shloka 3 times. You do you practice individually then, okay? तीर्यन्नगद्विजसरीश्रिपदेव दैत्य मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषम् रूपं स्थविस्तमजते महदाद्यनेकम् नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः
तीर्यन्नगद्विजसरीश्रिपदेव परिचितं सदसद्विशेषम् रूपं स्थविष्टम् अजते महदाद्यनेकम्
नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः.
So the third line, for some devotees it's spoiled again. They should slow down there. Rupam sthavistamajate mahadadyanekam. That's how they should pronounce. Okay, I'll do it again. तीर्यन्नगद्विजसरीश्रिपदेव दैत्य मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषं रूपं स्थविस्तमजते महदाद्यनेकं नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः तीर्यन्नगद्विजसरीश्रिपदेव दैत्य मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषं रूपं स्थविस्तमजते महदाद्यनेकं नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः
मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषं रूपं
Now you can go individually. I will be in a hearing mode. I don't know. I will be correcting you or I will be helping you out. But Lavanya Mataji and Deepa Mataji, if you can help them out, please help them out. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. And Prabhuji.
Samyukta Mataji, మీ ఫ్యామిలీ స్టార్ట్ చేస్తారా?
Yes, Mataji. तीर्यन्नागद्विजसरीश्रिपदेव दैत्या मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषं रूपं स्थविष्टं मजते महदाज्यनेकं नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः.
हरे कृष्ण. तीर्यन्नगद्विजसरीश्रुपदेव दैत्या मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषं रूपं स्तविष्टमजते महदाद्यनेकं नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Sandhya Mataji? Okay, Mataji is on hearing mode. Lavanya Mataji?
Yeah, I'll do Mataji. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.9.13. तीर्यन्नगद्विजसरीसृपदेव दैत्याः मत्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषं रूपं स्तविस्त्वं मजते महदाद्यनेकं नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादा.
तिर्यन्नगद्विजसरीसृपदेव दैत्या मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषं रूपं स्थविस्तमजते महदाद्यनेकं नातः परं परमवेद्मि न यत्र वादः. Next. Sapan Prabhu చేస్తారా?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Tiryannagadzvijasaristripadev daitya martyadivihi parichitam sadasad-vishesham rupam staviktam ajate mahadadyanekam natah param paramavedmina yatra vadaha.
Okay. Sapan Prabhu అయిపోయింది. సుమన్ ప్రభు చేస్తారా?
చేస్తాను మాతాజీ. తిర్యాన్నాగద్విజసరీసృపదేవ దైత్యా మాధ్యాదిభిః పరిచితం సదసద్విశేషం రూపం స్తవిస్తవం అజతే మహద్ ఆది అనేకం నాథ పరం పరమవేద్మీన యత్ర వాద. థ్యాంక్ యూ మాతాజీ.
మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి చేస్తారా ప్రభుజీ? మళ్ళీ ఇంకోసారి.
తిర్యాన్నాగద్విజసరీసృపవేద దైత్యా మధ్యావిధి పరిచితం సదసద్విశేషం రూపం స్తవిస్తవం అజతే మహద్ ఆది అనేకం నాథ పరం పరమవేద్మి నాయత్ర వాద.
ఓకే ప్రభుజీ. అగ్గించండి ప్రభు.
Yes. Tiryannagadzvijasaristripadev daitya matadivi parichitam sadasad-vishesham rupam stavistam ajate mahad adinekam nata param paramavedana yatra vadha.
ప్రభుజీ లాస్ట్ లైన్ ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ చేయండి. Vedmi.
नाता
Parama
परम
Vedmi.
परम वेद्मि न यत्र बाधा.
Okay, Prabhuji. You can put a Mahad Adyanekam. Like sometimes we get
Yeah,
confused.
Mahad Adi Anekam. Yeah, Mahad Adi.
Adyanekam. You have to club the Y and A. Adyanekam. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah.
Mahad
All of us are
Adi.
done. Yeah. Anybody is
Tiryanna.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Please,
Sorry.
Prabhuji. Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
Tiryannagad daitya matradibi परिचितं सदसद्विशेषं रूपं स्थाविष्टम् अजते महद् आदि अनेकं नाता परम परमद्वेद वेदमि न यत्रैवाधा.
Okay, Prabhuji. So I'll conclude the call. All of us are done. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्रीला प्रभुपाद बुक रीडिंग की जय. श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. चैतन्य चैतन्य की जय. हरे कृष्ण. Thank you for joining everybody.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.